Councils around the country are in open revolt against the government's ThreeWaters plan for water management.
Matamata Piako Mayor Ash Tanner has 2 words for the government.
Back off. In my opinion, I think, and my council's opinion, we think it's crap.
The government says it wants to take control of councils for the ThreeWaters: drinking water, wastewater and stormwater. The government wants just 4 authorities.
We don't trust it, we don't have confidence in it, and we don't find it credible.
Wellington has a problem with its pipes, but Mayor Andy Foster says lumping its water management in with regions like Gisborne and Nelson will not work.
There's clearly a need for change, but we have real concerns about the model that's being proposed. Just essentially taking waters away from the communities that have built those assets up.
Waimakariri Mayor Dan Gordon disagrees with the government's message.
Frankly, I think the government's advertising campaign has been crude and misleading.
So lots of opposition to the government's ThreeWaters plans, but the government still has all the power to really flip this on the councils if it wants to, by simply passing a law that makes them do it.
Are you in this mess because Parliament was doing too much in urgency?
No. As politicians debated screeds of legislation under urgency, Green MP Eugenie Sage put up an amendment to ThreeWaters.
Because of past experience with privatising our energy companies.
Sage worried the same could happen to our water, so Labour and the Greens passed what's called an entrenchment provision, which means if a future government wants to sell a water asset, it would take a mega majority of 60% of MPs or a successful referendum to sell off.
The new low from this Labour government. Essentially, it is a real challenge to democracy.
Entrenching public ownership of the ThreeWaters assets was originally Labour's idea. It wanted to use the already established supermajority of 75% of MPs, which is usually used for constitutional issues like changing the voting age. It couldn't get opposition buy-in, so dropped it. But this new lower threshold has academics calling it a dangerous precedent because governments could use it willy-nilly.
I don't think it should set a precedent because these ThreeWaters assets are critical public infrastructure.
What's anti-democratic is putting an entrenchment piece of legislation into something that is not constitutional in nature.
Not in the Constitution, but the Prime Minister says not to stuff up either.
Are you in this mess because Parliament was doing too much in urgency?
No.
Here we've got the mainstream media. You've got serious issues, not ThreeWaters, 5 waters. In fact, it's 6 waters now. The 6th one is they're pissing down your back and telling you it's raining. That's what's going on in New Zealand politics at the moment, and the mainstream media is not even covering it. This has to be on purpose. It cannot be innocence. It cannot be ignorance. So out comes something last moment, not even in the select committee recommendations, and the minister, as a subterfuge on a Friday afternoon, drops this in right in New Zealanders' face, and the mainstream media don't even pick it up. What on earth's going on apart from serious corruption of the fourth estate in this country? From the Prime Minister down, they arrogantly are saying, we know better than you, we're the podium of truth, everything we say is honest, everything else, somebody else says is dubious and doubtful. And it's the Pandora principle. They are saying to themselves in the Labour Party a long time, we lift this out of the box and we legislate it and you won't be able to change it. And New Zealanders need to wake up and New Zealanders need to understand the level of malignancy there is in the thinking behind this present government, the Labour Party right now. And they haven't even disclosed to the people of this country what their intentions are. They're just doing it. And it's defiant in the extreme. But I have to say at the same time, I'm talking to a media platform here, but the mainstream media are condoning it and encouraging it. And that's the most disquieting thing that I've never conceived in my long career in politics.
Nanaia Mahuta has proven to be one of New Zealand's most divisive politicians that God ever put breath into. What was initially an attempt to fix up drinking water has turned into a highly divisive and polarising social experiment. Got nothing to do with poo pipes and infrastructure now. It's got everything to do as to whether or not tribes should have a superior right.
It is a superior right. I'm glad you've acknowledged that because it's about bloody time Māori actually said that that's exactly what it is. They don't want an equal right. They're looking for a superior right It's minority why.
Well, Nanaia and her three-water imbroglio, she delivered a superior right.
Yes.
And primarily it's gone to Tainui and probably to Ngaitahu.
Yep.
And in the event I have the opportunity to serve in Parliament again, the first thing that I would have us do is put some legislation in the House which freezes the entire process. There is no more Three Waters. I'd never tolerate any superior right being accorded to hapu and iwi. We already have an electoral system. In fact, many councils have elected Māori members. They've gone through the jungle gym of electoral process. Why should they play second fiddle to a runanga or a hapu? I don't agree with it. 1,000 million years will ever pass before I change my mind. I think what happened with Jacinda's leadership is she uncorked the bottle and she's let a whole lot of political genies out into the mist. And those genies are going to be slayed and the bottle's going to be smashed. We are not going to tolerate a Three Waters co-governance metastasization. Just not going to happen. And I'd certainly suspend Three Waters, dead in the water.